Better be careful. Who knows what horrors lurk out there? I could get an F in class, encounter a spider, or find myself trapped in darkness. Bad grades, spiders, and darkness, oh my. Bad grades, spiders, and darkness, oh my. Bad grades, darkness, spiders, oh my. Bad grades, darkness, spiders, oh my. Oh, it's just a dream. Just a dream. Hey guys, J Star Wars 360 here, discussing another episode of the Powerpuff Girls. This time we're discussing, forgive me if I mispronounce it, Power Noia. This was one of the episodes that was requested when I put out that video saying, hey, if there's any episodes of Powerpuff Girls I didn't get to, that you want me to get to, now's your chance to get me to talk about them. And this was one of them. What's unique about this episode is that it is another 20-minute episodes, and these ones are a little bigger, and often better than most episodes of Powerpuff Girls, and this one is no exception. The plot is pretty simple. Him traps the Powerpuff Girls in their own nightmares, and they each have to confront their worst fear. As I alluded to in the beginning, Blossom's worst nightmare is failing her test in class, Buttercup is spiders, and Blossom is darkness. And before I get into the specifics, I just want to take a brief moment to give a thank you to the person who recommended this episode because I really liked it. I think Rowdy Rough Boys is still my favorite of the 20-minute ones I've seen, but this is a really close second. This one, you watch it and you immediately understand why this one was recommended. It is super imaginative and super duper creepy. Because while not all of us are superheroes, we don't fly or shoot lasers out of our eyes or have super strong punches, we all have stuff we're afraid of. So to take these girls who can really punch their way out of almost anything and to give them scenarios that not only can they not just punch their way out of, but ones that really get to the core of what are these girls afraid of, made them very relatable. I'm really impressed that the series was able to pull off an episode this dark and this creepy. I can easily see a network stepping in and saying, this is too much, you gotta dial this back. And I'm curious if at one point there was even more frightening imagery here. Ultimately, this is an episode about overcoming your fears. It's about looking that thing in the eye that terrifies you more than anything and saying, not today, I'm better than this. And it's really satisfying to see them take that stance, whether it's Blossom acing the test, Buttercup beating up the spiders, or Bubbles just slicing through the stuffed animals. I mean, sheesh. Talk about Bubble vicious. Let's go through each of the dreams, because they're all very different and very fascinating. First off, there's Blossom. As far as I can recall, we've never gotten a Blossom episode. When I think of Blossom, she always seems to be the level-headed one, the one who always seems to have it together. So to give her a phobia really does a lot to ground her and make her very relatable. In the grand scheme of things, grades don't matter. You could be an A student, yet struggle to find employment after you graduate. And likewise, you could get poor grades in school, such as C's and D's, maybe even an F or two, and flourish once you graduate. Heck, I even remember one of my professors saying we all failed a course at one point or another. While grades don't matter in the grand scheme of things, at the time, they have these life or death stakes to them. And this episode did a great job of reminding you just how urgent and pressing that big test or assignment can feel. From the zombie-like state of the class to the intimidating stare and voice of Miss Keene to the black and white lighting that really conveyed a feeling of prison. It was so creepy and so effective. The same is true for the other dreams. Buttercup's is more straightforward, but it really makes up for it with some super creative imagery. I love how abstract all the backgrounds are. It just is so surreal and amorphous. Because, yeah, I mean, bugs are gross. You could show a bunch of spiders, but it's a dream episode. It's a cartoon. You got to take full advantage of the fact that you can show whatever you want in this episode and it would make complete and total sense and wouldn't feel out of continuity. Bubbles' episode was pretty creepy, too. Who isn't afraid of the dark? I know I was as a kid. Part of that was nature, but part of that was also nurture. You had episodes of shows like the Rugrats that would have episodes where it'd be dark and just really hammered home how creepy the dark is. And then as an adult, there were tons of horror films I watched, like Halloween and Scream, that solidified the idea that you're not safe in your home. There could be a creepy guy with a knife running around trying to kill you, which, absurd, but the imagination is a powerful thing. And especially when it's dark and you can't really see much of what's in front of you, the mind can do a lot of things and make the world seem way more terrifying than it actually is. As a kid, I remember being a little creeped out at night, an open closet, a thing lying on the floor. My imagination just got all worked up. And the animators have a lot of fun with this episode, because the girls' room is very pleasant. It has bright, vibrant colors and tons of cute animals, but at night, it looks so creepy. You have the wonderful reference to the movie Poltergeist where the stuffed animals and the clown-like creature is like lurking right on top of the bed. And likewise, you have those demonic smiles, the sinister voices. It's just, oh, it's nightmare fuel. I can easily see some kids getting creeped out by this section. If I were to criticize the episode, it would probably be the art style. The art style in this episode isn't bad, but it's part of a trend that a lot of shows that started in the 90s and ran into the 2000s fell into. Cartoons such as Pokemon, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Rugrats started off in the 90s with doing most of the work by hand, but then by the end of their run, they did a lot of it on computers. And on one end, it probably makes the job a lot faster and easier, but it also, at least in my opinion, makes the visuals a little more bland. I always prefer the roughness of the earlier episodes where you can tell that there was all the handwork, whereas the later episodes, while nice, always just look a little too clean for my taste. And an episode as creepy and imaginative as this, there's a part of me that was going, oh man, imagine if they did this in the style of the earlier episodes. It wasn't too distracting though, and I think it's more to do with the fact that this is the first episode of the Powerpuff Girls that I've seen in this art style. If I'd seen more episodes, it wouldn't bother me as much because I'd be used to the style. As is, I spent the first few minutes trying to orient myself to how everything looked. Otherwise, super creepy, super entertaining, and I can definitely see why this is a fan favorite. Before I go, some brief recommendations, because Powerpuff Girls is not the first episode to do the Dreamthology episode, where 3 characters fall asleep and have 3 separate nightmares. The first of which is the episode of Billy and Mandy called Dream a Little Dream. In that episode, the main characters eat leftover pizza and then proceed to have nightmares. The first of which really scared me as a kid. It involved these cute, adorable little bunnies that turn super vicious. It's no dialogue, all music, all animation. It's so well done and so creepy. I might prefer it to this one. But to be fair, Billy and Mandy was a super dark and super creepy show that I'm honestly amazed aired as it was. If you're looking for something a little lighter, though, I would recommend the second Treehouse of Horror episode from The Simpsons. In that one, the Simpsons eat a ton of Halloween candy and proceed to have nightmares, each of which is a parody of a different movie. The first of which parodies The Monkey's Paw, the second of which parodies the episode of The Twilight Zone known as It's a Good Life, and last but not least, they spoof Frankenstein. Again, if you liked this episode of the Powerpuff Girls, those are really solid episodes to check out. And with that, I'm going to close out this vlog of Powerpuff Girls. But before I go, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about the show. Where is this ranked for you amongst the series? Did you find it creepy as a kid? Do you find it creepy now? And are the girls' phobias stuff that you generally find scary? Or are you like, grades, I was an A student. Spiders, you can squash them. Darkness, it's just darkness. Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, give it a like. And if you want to see more, be sure to check out my channel and subscribe. See you guys next time. Until then, take care.